Hey, welcome back to the Motorcyclist Podcast. This is where we talk about motorcycles and what makes them great. Topics on this show constantly change, but the one thing that always remains the same is two-wheeled fun. In this episode, we are going to catch up with what's going on in MotoGP. But before we do that, we're going to make some introductions. We've got photo director Jeff Allen. We've got editor Adam Wahid. And you got myself, executive editor Justin Dawes. So, MotoGP is into 12 rounds now. It seems like it's basically the series just over the halfway point. What do you guys like? Just a quick reaction of the season thus far before we get into the overview of what's been going on.
The overview is Marc Márquez is killing everyone, which I guess now you look at it, it's not surprising, but I wouldn't say that that's what we expected when the season started. We expected a better Marc Márquez, but we didn't expect this.
Oh, I expected him to be winning a lot of races, but I expected more from Bagnaia, who is definitely struggling this year. He has gone from the number one man in the Ducati factory team, the dominant team in MotoGP, to being very much a second fiddle, which has got to be tough.
It's got to be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. It probably makes Valentino Rossi a little bit, disappointed too, because, that person's a protege of his where, Marc Márquez and him are, rivals. So I'm sure it doesn't.
I think that Valentino Rossi loves Bagnaia, but I think he hates Marc Márquez more.
Yeah. He doesn't love Bagnaia, but he hates.
I don't know if he hates Marc Márquez at this point in his career, but I'm sure he doesn't like him.
Yeah, he's never gonna like him. So him and Jorge
Lorenzo.
Yeah, Lorenzo. See, I kept getting Martin stuck in my head because we're gonna talk about Martin in a little bit. So anyway,
Valentino's had his share of rivals.
Yes, he has. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but in this season, so Marc Márquez is crushing everybody. He's leading the points championship by 120 points, which is pretty much insurmountable for the second place, who is his brother, Alex Marquez. He's second in points, and he's got a win this year, which is pretty rad. And then you got Bagnaia struggling, but he's still in third point. So when we say like, oh, it's a disaster for Bagnaia, a disaster is third place in the MotoGP championship.
I mean, still pretty good.
When you've had his level of success, anything where you're not leading is a train wreck.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So that being said, there's a lot of news, even 12 in, there's been some really cool races this year. There's been drama. So let's start with some drama first. Jorge Martin, he is back on a bike. He did his first race, and he did pretty well. But there was a lot of drama there where he got hurt preseason, he got hurt again, and then it was like he's not on the bike, and he didn't seem like he enjoyed the bike when he did ride it, and it was like he was trying to get out of his contract, basically. They were really looking at it. And I don't know. What do you think about that? About bailing on a team that, it's your first year on that team.
I think it was way too early. I think he probably should have accepted some of that responsibility. But I understand that it was in his contract that he could do that.
Yeah. So
you can't fault him for taking advantage of something that's in the contract.
Yeah, very, very true. But I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it was his choice to go to Aprilia on a factory team. He could have been, on a Ducati, and who knows what would have happened. He's probably still could have got hurt and all the other things. But yeah, I think he tried to bail out too early. He didn't give it a chance. And then he saw Bez doing things and getting podiums and riding his butt off, and he was like, okay, maybe the bike's not as bad as I think it is. Well,
that's sort of the thing with Aprilia, though, right? They're kind of slow starters. That they come into the season, they have work to do when they come in. It's the same way with Aleix. So you can't. So I'm sure the bike was not. He was not thrilled with it, obviously.
No, of course. And like, to Aprilia's credit, like, it's a definite David versus Goliath story there. Like, everyone thinks if you're in MotoGP, you're massive, but I've seen Ducati and Aprilia's, racing facilities, and it's quite a different scene. You know what I mean? Like Aprilia, this is such a smaller outfit, and they're doing a lot with probably a lot less.
Yeah, it's almost grassroots.
Almost grassroots. I mean, like, their facility in Noale, like, they have a whole building of engineers that are just working on MotoGP stuff. Like, it's a whole top floor of a building where guys are on computers all day doing stuff. But that top floor isn't as big as Ducati's floor or KTM's floor or Yamaha's or Honda's. You know what I mean? Like, they're the small guy and they're doing it, which is, big ups to them. Like, every time an Aprilia gets near the podium or in the lead, I'm rooting for him,
Yeah. I think we all are.
So, yeah, I mean, it's good to see Martin back, and he did some decent results considering, right? He hadn't been one race, he hadn't completed a race all year, and he, top 5 of the thing, right?
No, seventh.
Seventh. He was in top 5 for a while. So,
no,
I'd say it's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
After being mangled, and then then all that drama with them trying to get out of that contract. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's best case, to have a good race after the little, squabble that they had within the team. Winning solves a lot of problems. I mean,
it can
win, but
yeah, I would say that it was almost a win. I mean, in terms of performance, because you were expecting he was going to show up and he was going to be down out of the top 10. Like, what else would you expect from a guy that's been laid up and hasn't really had a chance to turn laps in anger on his factory race bike? So, speaking of other drama, there was a very short-lived rumor about Pedro Acosta, he, going to Honda for a little bit. So,
yeah.
But that's all settled now. Same thing. It was all just kind of a rumor. But I think it was like one of those things where, like, you say your feelings as a joke so that you can go, no, I was just joking. It was just a thought. It wasn't, I wasn't really thinking that, but you really were thinking that.
Yeah. Well, he Acosta is a guy who speaks his mind more than some.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
To be honest, I think that issue was settled when Martin's issue was settled. When Dorna said you can't get registered if you're in a contract dispute. I think that settled everything.
That locked it down. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a supremely talented rider, and when you're that good and that there's a chance of you for doing well, if the company's not doing it for you, you do get probably pretty frustrated very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, last year he had a pretty stellar rookie year, and now this year it's been a little tougher. And so, I mean, not only in terms of bike performance, but the company's turmoil financially too did not help his situation whatsoever.
Yeah, he's a caliber of a rider who deserves, top equipment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and so it's pretty rad to see what he can do on a bike that is clearly lacking in some respects,
Mm-hmm. But improving.
Yeah. But I mean, so we'll see. He's now 7th in points, so he's hanging in there. But other bikes letting down riders, we got to talk about Quartararo.
Oh yeah.
If anyone deserves to be frustrated, he's the one. He's the one that should be absolutely just I don't know how the guy does it, how he shows up every weekend and puts his best foot forward and, cranks off these insane qualifying laps and gets to the front of the podium and then just gets left in the dust by the end of the race.
It's crazy. Yeah. You'd think Yamaha would have made some better improvements, I mean, they made some, but,
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Well, I mean, they keep promising that something's coming. They, like they tell us as fans, but they're also telling their racers something's coming. And
yeah, the V4,
they're working on it, but they say it's slower than the bike they have now. So, granted, you make steps and you make steps, but I mean, what happens if they do have a V4 next year and the thing's even slower? Like, but maybe it helps his bike in terms of the cut and thrust racing style that is so common right now with the Ducatis and everything. Like the Yamaha likes to flow around corners, and so his lines are completely different than everyone else's. So when he does do a qualifying lap, he takes his own lines and he bangs out a fast lap, but then you get in the pack and you can't take those lines because otherwise you're just going to get pushed to the outside or get the door slammed on you everywhere.
Yep.
So then he has to ride the Ducati style on a Yamaha that doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe
aggressive guys behind you are willing to, take that gap.
Exactly. So, it was heartbreaking at Silverstone when he had the lead.
It really was.
It was really like, he's got one. This is going to be it, and then the bike just stopped.
You could almost imagine, you could almost already imagine him celebrating on the podium and this big thing. And when he put his arm up and you knew something was wrong, it was just, it was heartbreaking. But then again, he handed the win to Aprilia, which then you're like, all right.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It's sweet. Bez has got one. So, who I also definitely root for. I've always liked him. He's like a Rossi light in a lot of ways, like the way he talks and the way he kind of looks, and he's a VR46 guy.
Sometimes he's running Wahid's hairdo too.
Yeah. That's a thing. Like the VR46 haircut, a lot of them, right? They all got crazy hair.
Yeah, poofy hair, poofy curls,
poofy hair. Marco Simoncelli, he took it to the max. His hair was legendary.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, like, it was almost I don't know if you would call it a Cinderella story, but it was like the underdog story that you were like, yeah, and then it didn't happen. But then later, the underdog story did happen with Zarco.
Yeah, that race was insane. Like, it was hard to keep track of who was where and who, like, all of the double long lap penalties and all that stuff is impossible to keep up as a fan, which kept it, very entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, I would have hated to be the announcers in that race because there was so much to keep track of and who's on what tires, who's got long lap penalties, all that stuff. It was super, super wild on what was going on.
Some of the guys were on different laps, and I think if you were on, I mean, it'd be hard as a racer not to be doing the math. Like, okay, is this guy am I racing him, or does he still have a penalty left, or is he still? Is this
probably not even thinking about that. You're just probably just.
I would think you'd be constantly thinking, do I need to race this guy, or he's about to take his long lap?
Yeah, I don't know. I think at that point, if it's that complicated, there's only one thing you do is you just, everyone that's in front of you try to pass them. And that's all you can do. Like, because it was such a mess, some people had one lap left to do long lap penalties. Some had two. Like, you don't know, like, who's going where. People are going in and out of pits and changing tires. And you're like, now he's on slicks. I don't have to worry about it because the rain's starting to fall again, or wait, did he go to wets and he's going to catch up? Like,
exactly.
Like, there was so much going on. I think the only thing you do is put your head down and go for it. And that's what Zarco did. And he got the win, which was, he was the first Frenchman to win at Le Mans since 1954. Yeah, 1954.
Yeah.
I mean, like, nuts. The crowd went wild. His parents are there bawling their eyeballs out. He was bawling his eyeballs out. Like, it was super emotional, which is great for the sport.
They said that was the first time his mom had ever been to one of his MotoGP races. Like, She shows up and he wins in France. It was crazy.
I'd be bringing her to every race from then on.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget how Zarco's race started.
Oh,
Remember,
dude, it was so crazy. Track. Yeah, he got Mir punted Ben Yaya and then also ran into Zarco. Zarco goes flying through the gravel trap, keeps it upright. Somehow is like second to last. The only people that were ahead of him at that point were the two bikes that were on their sides. And he just stays on wets the whole time where everyone else is changing bikes and long lap penalties. I guess we should explain the long lap penalty. A lot of riders came in on their sight lap into the pits, which the regulations say if you don't take the grid, you have a 2 long lap penalty that you have to serve. So, and they knew it going in, and then so they, then they get on the bikes to come around on their 1 lap. They start on their normal positions on the grid, but they're already saddled with having to take that long lap section twice. So that's but it was like half the field or over half the field got a 2 lap long lap penalty, and so that's massive. Like that,
It was chaos. It was definitely chaos.
And then also, go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say also, I don't know if we're done talking about that race, but as crazy as that was at Coda when Marquez ran off the track, and then others follow him. That was another it was just mental. It was amazing, and I love those kinds of races. I think
I mean, that's what makes good racing. There's been other races this year where it's just been a Marquez walk away, and those aren't as exciting, right? You're just kind of like, all right, and you start watching it, and you're watching it, and you might start looking at your phone, and you start like paying attention to other things because it's a foregone conclusion that it's over. Where those races that do have chaos and craziness, that's the good part of the sport right now.
Yeah, it kind of always has been, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy stuff's happening.
Yeah, because that's what brings the uncertainty. Like when you're watching, that's what brings the uncertainty, and the uncertainty is what keeps you interested.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to win?
Yep. So I want to ask this. I think we're already kind of touching on this question, but I want to lock it up. Like, best race of the season thus far. What's your favorite? Let's start with Jeff. I think I know Jeff's answer now, just from the minute before. But what about Adam? What was your favorite thus far?
The Mugello round's always my favorite. I just like looking at the countryside and just, it's cool to see that Fabio, he got on the box finally.
Yeah.
Or maybe not on the box, but he was top 5, I think, or something
he was
like
doing
that.
It. Yeah.
And it's just cool to see, just, I don't know, the hills of Italy, and everyone's all pumped. There's just so many people that pack into that place, and just the traffic getting out of that racetrack. Oh my God, it's just crazy. I was on Instagram, and it was like people are stuck there till 10 p.m. at night just on the exit road. It's just nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy. A
good sign for MotoGP. They've had a lot of record crowds through a bunch of the weekends in different places. Like France was huge.
Yeah,
that one was a ton of people too.
I think over 300,000 or something. It was a massive.
It's so wild. Yeah, it's
for the weekend,
So awesome. So, Mugello's cool. I've never been to MotoGP there. Yeah, Blake
was there too.
Yeah, Cycle World editor at large, Blake Connor. He got an invite from Brumbo to go tour the factory, and he showed up early, and they took him to MotoGP and all access backstage, rock star treatment, which is always cool. And that's the only way to do MotoGP if you can get it, right? So, What about you, Jeff?
Speaking of Mugello and rock star treatment, the Italian fans were definitely not giving Marquez the rock star treatment. Remember on the podium, the fans were whistling and booing, and Tardozzi had to shake his finger at the crowd and tell them to
settle down.
Stop it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
passionate. The whole. I mean, we could almost just do a whole episode of a podcast just on Italy versus Spain. MotoGP, right? It's the two countries that are dominant, and there's a reason for it. But so, Jeff, what was your favorite or bet? What do you say is the best?
Well, it's. I love those races. I loved France. I thought that was awesome. I love Coda, but I also like Silverstone. Both of the. Again, there was some drama. I think both the Marquez boys crashed. Well, Alex crashed right on the start.
Yeah.
And then I think Mark crashed. They're still on the lead lap. So there was another crash. So they red flagged the race. So restart.
Yep.
So those guys got to go back and restart. And that was, and then of course the drama of Fabio leading, and then, his bike failure. All of that stuff I was sad to see Fabio lose that way, but it was cool to see Bezzecchi, and I don't know. I like the drama that happens in MotoGP, all the drama.
Yeah, I agree. Then that's why for me the best race was Le Mans. It was just craziness. Like it made it so interesting to watch the strategy and how everyone was thinking and the decisions they were making, and you really got to see some, like, it seemed like that even the factories didn't have the answer or the strategy, and it put everyone on their back foot.
Yep.
And that was really cool to see, because these are just well-oiled machines. Usually they're just dialed in, they know what they're doing, and they have a plan for everything. And all of a sudden it was like every plan went out the window and it was chaos. And I loved to see that whole thing just shaken up like that. And then of course the emotionality of Zarco, doing it, getting that win. And, people are like, oh, but it was a rain race and it was
they all count.
They all count. And Marquez had his 2 long lap penalties, and he switched to bike, and he went into the pits and out of the pits, and he still got second. But at the same time, my argument of that is everyone had to race the same racetrack, and on that day Zarco was better than everybody else.
Yeah,
I love that stuff. You can't take that away from him. You can't put an asterisk next to it just because it was raining and all the things that went on. Racing's racing. Everyone is there doing the same thing on the same day, and if you win, you win.
Yeah. Especially, like something like that, where that's sort of his specialty is those mixed conditions. It's not fully wet, not fully dry. Everyone knows if it's like that, it's like Zarco's gonna have a shot.
Yep, yeah, for sure. So, what else do we want to talk about? I want to talk about like the rookie of the year, which I think is going to be pretty easy. I think at the beginning of the season it wasn't going to be easy. I thought that Io Guro was going to do great things, and it hasn't happened. But
I still like him.
Oh, I still love him. Like I have a replica Corsair that have worn multiple times, and it I think it's rad what the kid's doing, and that in the beginning of the season it was like, holy cow, look at him go, and he's had some trouble since then. But so rookie of the year.
To your point, there were a couple of races where he was the quickest Aprilia.
Yeah.
Of all of them.
On the Trackhouse, which is pretty cool for Trackhouse too, for that. So, but I think we could all pretty much agree who it is, right?
I think so. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah. So, Fermin Aldeguer, he's really come on strong. He's been putting up really good results, and it's clear that he's definitely rookie of the year. I don't think anyone can say otherwise, right?
Yeah, no, which is very cool, very cool,
super cool.
Yeah. He may be making an argument for himself to get the the factory level machine.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in a couple of years. Yeah. He is making the argument. He is putting up good results. He's riding well. He seems very smart, and he makes really good decisions when it's time to like make a move, make passes. Like he doesn't seem to doubt anything that he's doing, and what he does do is almost always right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's It's good to see. It's good to see because, sometimes, especially with all the aero and everything, the rookies have been coming up and struggling, like Raul Fernandez or some of these guys.
Yeah.
Have a difficult time adjusting. And these two guys, the two rookies this year, are doing well.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's go back to Martin. What do you think his chances are of getting a podium or even getting a win?
I think unlikely. What do you think, Jeff?
I think he's gonna. I think for sure he'll win. He's gonna win a sprint race, maybe two.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Wow.
I don't know about it. I don't know about winning on Sunday in the GP, but I think he'll definitely get a sprint race before the season's over.
Well, I was actually going to say the opposite. I was going to say he's going to podium some sprint races, but I think that there is a chance by the end of the season he could be at the front in a GP. But I think primarily Marquez is going to have to screw up for that to happen. And we all know Marquez is his own worst enemy. Like if anyone's going to beat him at a race, it's almost always himself. And I think if he screws up, Martin's going to get better as the year goes on. And I think he's going to be there. And he's got a chance for one. But sprint, I don't think he has it because the aggression is so high. I think he's going to have to work into a win and put in the work towards the end of the race, where like a sprint is just too fast and it's too aggressive for him to get one.
Yeah, possibly. But he's a sprint specialist,
Yeah, he is, but he's still recovering in a way. He hasn't been on the bike a lot. Like there's some factors there that work against his sprint specialist skills, I think. So, but I don't know. I haven't been very good analyst this year. I bet Aaron Richardson, who's now no longer part of the Octane Media Group, but I bet him $20 that Bagnaia was going to beat beat Marquez, and so I'm definitely losing $20 on that one. Mm-hmm. I thought that Marquez's addition to the factory team was going to raise the level of Pecco, and it just hasn't. So
it's so crazy how that worked out. If he hadn't made that switch to Gresini,
mm-hmm.
the year would look so different because Ducati would not have taken a chance on him.
Nope. No.
The only reason they did is because they could see his data when he was at Gresini.
Yeah.
And they knew what he was doing on an inferior machine.
Yeah.
And so it would have been Martin at the factory team, and who knows where Marquez would have ended up? Probably at Aprilia.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been a very different season had he not made that move to Gresini.
Yeah,
prove to himself and to others what he could still do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to say, any predictions besides Mark winning everything for the rest of the season? Like, what do you see? Like, what's the big thing that you see happening this year from here on out? Besides Mark just smashing everyone like he has been.
Yeah, that's obvious. Go ahead.
Continued Ducati domination.
Yeah. I mean,
Again,
that's
another season of continued Ducati one manufacturer racing.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Jeff?
I think that Pecco or Bagnaia, I think he will. I think he's going to be much improved because, yes, if you look at the standings and the points, Marquez has been crushing Bagnaia. But if you look at the race to race, like if you look at total race distance, the time, he's losing races over 23, 24 laps by just a couple seconds. It's like 2 to 5 seconds. And while that is a chunk, I think he can make that improvement. And
yeah,
I think he will. I think he'll be much improved, and probably take second in the championship above Alex Marquez. That's what I think.
All right. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say I guess this is wishful thinking more than it is a prediction, but a 1-2 Aprilia finish before the end of the season.
That'd be cool.
Martin and Bez on the podium on the top 2 steps.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome just as for MotoGP and for fans, and obviously huge for Aprilia. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So, I like, where's Marquez going to lock the championship up? I mean, technically he could do it at Motegi. Mathematically, that's the soonest he could do it. Do you think he's going to lock it up by Motegi, or do you think it's going to go longer?
Well, I think it's going to go longer by my prediction that Pecco's going to be improved. I don't think he's going to do it at this point the least amount of time.
Yeah, I agree. Phillip Island.
Yeah, that's what I think. Phillip Island. What is that? Third from the finish.
Yeah, there's 3 to go after.
That's what I think. I think it'll happen in Phillip Island.
Yeah, I think so.
That's always a fun one to watch. That's probably my second favorite is Phillip Island.
Yeah, it's always a good watch for sure.
But again, it's Phillip Island can be unpredictable with weather and stuff too. So.
Yeah,
that's why it's so cool.
Very much so. So, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Marquez is smashing everyone. The younger Marquez is second. He's doing great, but Bez is going to overtake him possibly. Maybe we'll see Martin on the top of the podium with Bez next to him. There's a lot of racing left to do, and there's been quite a few totally chaotic, unpredictable races this year, and I hope we continue to see that and it shakes up, and it's not a foregone conclusion that Marquez just waxes everyone. Right? So, one last thing so there's the call now for people saying that Marc Marquez is now the GOAT. Yeah, no.
Say that.
You think he's the GOAT? I think he's the current GOAT. I don't think he's the GOAT. I don't think he's I'll always say Rossi is the GOAT. I mean,
or Agostini too.
Agostini's the GOAT too. I mean, Agostini did it when it was like just truly dangerous, life-threatening all the time. Like going to war.
He dominated too. He dominated.
Yeah. So, but I'll say it was Rossi. He rode different generations of MotoGP bikes from 2-strokes to 800s to, the 4-strokes now, bikes with aero, bikes without aero, and he had wins everywhere. So I still think he is, but for right now, it's Marquez. He is the GOAT at the moment. But I don't think he's reached the status of Rossi or Agostini yet.
Oh, I think. Well,
the funny thing about being sorry, go ahead.
I think without that time where he was off the bike with his arm injury and everything, I think he would already have more wins than Rossi. I think right now he's sitting at he needs about 20 more wins.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of struggling for about 4 years.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how to put this, like the caveat that he was hurt and he had like a almost career-ending injury. Super amazing that he came back from that, and that gives him legendary status right there. But he also crashed a lot and did it to himself. And
yeah, for sure. I'm not. It's not.
You know what I mean?
Excuse, I'm just saying that he missed a lot, and had he not, like it would be less of an argument who is who.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's on his way to it. So, anyway, I think that's it for this episode. We're going to lock it up. We went a little bit longer than we normally do because talking about racing is fun. So, key takeaways: Mark is or isn't the GOAT at the moment. At the moment, he's the GOAT, but he may be the GOAT overall. Aprilia is doing amazing with what they have, and it'll be interesting to see what Martin does. KTM, Honda, Yamaha, man, they're just adrift at the moment. They're all struggling. I think the only way they factor into things is how they dice up the Ducati finishes. Like, you got Mir as a bowling pin that's knocking down Ducati riders left and right.
He's just the unluckiest MotoGP racer ever. Gosh.
So I think that's the way they affect the championship, is like, if you're near Mir, how do you even, like, at this point, you got to be stressed out that he's near you. And, he's unlucky, and he's pushing and he's trying to do things on a bike that's definitely not doing great, but it's pretty wild.
Yeah. He's had a lot of people take him out without any wrongdoing on his part.
Yeah, that too. Like, it's both. Like, he makes mistakes, people crash into him. It's just like, he's just got this black cloud over him that it's terrible. So anyway, he might be the GOAT of bad luck, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to lock it up there. As always, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you listening. Please like, comment, subscribe. In the comments, put down what you guys think is going to happen in the rest of the season. Let me know if my dream of Martin and Bez being on the podium together is completely cuckoo. Let us know if you think Marquez is the GOAT. All that stuff. We really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.